Welcome. I'm Gajendra Lianarachi from A4Study.com. A4Study.com provides exclusive online tuition for CIMA strategic level case study. This video will provide our approach in analyzing the August 2017 CIMA strategic level case study. We analyze the case by identifying 20 key issues. Each issue will be discussed in detail based on the impact, nature of the organization and how it will be tested in the exam. So we provide a comprehensive analysis identifying how each issue can be tested in the real exam. This video will provide the analysis of issue number 7 for August 2017 case study. Issue number 7 is risk management. Let's see. The company analyzed the risk based on 5 factors. What are these 5 factors? First factor is competition. Number 2 is investment in innovation. Number 3 is investment in technology. Number 4, legal liability. Number 5, software issues. Let's look at each factor in detail. First factor, competition. The case study talks about competition based on 2 guidelines. Number 1, loss of customers. Number 2, speed of developing new products. Let's look at one by one. Loss of customers. Can it be caused due to competition? Of course, it is a major factor. But there's a clue here. Examiner wants us to look at this in detail. Well, loss of customer. Is it really part of competition even though there's a link, or is it a separate area? That's right, it's a separate area. Because loss of customer is a vast area, comes under what risk? Market risk. It comes under market risk. Because loss of customer can be caused due to, number 1, poor quality product. Number 2, product being higher priced than the expectation. If your product is highly priced, then still you will lead to loss of customers. Number 3, poor after-sales service or poor maintenance. Number 4, defective product. Number 5, lack of availability of the product. Number 6, poor marketing. So now you see loss of customer can be caused by any factor. Of course, competition is also one reason. But let me now look at competition risk in a broader scale. Now these are the questions that come in the exam. Look at the higher scope. So let's see. Competition risk, yes, of course, will lead to loss of customers. But more than that, it will lead to loss of revenue, loss of profit, higher investment for the company regarding marketing, regarding new product development, and also loss of your position in the industry, loss of contractual agreements with automobile manufacturers, loss of access to certain countries because one country might give exclusive access to a particular company and not for you. So competition also is a vast area. Yes, the other factor they looked at, speed of delivering new products, of course, is competition risk. So clearly, competition risk is important but not restricted to the 2 areas identified in the case. What are those 2? Loss of customers and speed of delivery of new products. So we have to discuss this in detail in the exam. Risk number 2 is investment in innovation, and the case study identifies it based on uncertainty and return on investment. Clearly, it is effective. Yes, when you develop innovation, you have a higher risk. Will it work? So that means return on investment, payback period, market access, revenue from that investment, or whether the innovation is in line with the market. Because we might invent something, but it might not be relevant for the industry. So clearly the second risk is appropriate. Risk number 3, investment in new technology. Well, that is important, but the case study talks about impact as retention of key staff. What it says is retention of key staff is difficult, therefore developing new technology is a risk. Do we agree on that? I don't think so, because again, it's a different area. If you have a problem in retaining staff, where would that lead to? Correct, that is HR risk. That's not technology risk. Yes, developing new technology is a risk. One factor may be lack of staff, but what about the other factors? Lack of finance, lack of capacity, lack of fixed assets, lack of laboratories, lack of space. So many things. Lack of related technology. So many things. Staff can be only one element. And also, yes, we have 250 design staff, but it doesn't mean the design staff are the only important staff for the company. What about marketing staff? What about the risk of losing your best marketing manager? And what about the risk that marketing manager joining a competitor's firm? So remember, this needs to be discussed, and examiner would like your opinion on this, because risk of new technology has obviously some part with staff, but retention of staff is a vast area. I repeat, retention of staff is a vast area which is under HR risk. Risk number 4 is legal liability. Here, the case study discusses about our liability if there's an accident on the road, if there's a collusion by using our system. Are we liable? Well, maybe, but let's look at liability in a broader scale. Well, it is still an area under discussion whether the software developer is responsible, whether the vehicle manufacturer is responsible, or whether the driver is responsible. Why? When we develop the system and sell it to the manufacturer, of course there's a contractual agreement clearly in black and white saying what is our liability and at what level it stops, because then the vehicle manufacturer will be assembling it in the vehicle. So then the vehicle manufacturer will also have a specific liability. But then, who else are liable? Obviously the customer. Why? Because customer has to sign an agreement, because imagine if I'm the driver and I decide to take my hands off the steering wheel. Then what happens? I'm responsible for the pedestrians, the cyclists and anybody on the road, because I allow my car to decide the drive and the safety of other people when I do not interfere. So it's an open area, open for discussion. But this is the golden rule in business. Even though legally you're safe, you're not safe under CSR, ethics and business. Our brand will be badly affected even though the court of law says your liability is fine. It affects our reputation, it affects our business model, it affects our ethics, CSR and confidence in the market. So this is a very important risk. Let's look at risk number 5. What is risk number 5? Software issues. The case study says that our software is designed by third-party software developers. Is it a problem? Well, yes, at a particular level. We need to know the quality, we need to know their HR issues, we need to know their philosophy, the policy towards business. And the case study says we have random visits to the factories of suppliers. Well, the questions will be raised. Is it adequate? How often is the random visit? Who is responsible for the random visit? And what is the documentary evidence on your visit? But still, the company is accountable. And the case study talks about the impact of the software risk based on inadequateness of software, software failure, and providing inaccurate information. The case provides an example saying the company provides navigation and the navigation map provides wrong information to the driver, and because of that the driver is late to go to the airport and get the plane and thereby miss the plane and had to catch another plane and a higher cost. Are we paying for that? Open for discussion. Whatever it is, the software risks are our risks. So let me summarize the 5 risks identified by the company. Risk number 1, competition. We need to discuss that in detail. Risk number 2, investment in innovation. That's fine. Risk number 3, investment in new technology. We need to discuss because they relate that to staff. Risk number 4, legal liability. Perfectly fine. Risk number 5, software issues. Perfectly fine. Now let's get to business. Is this adequate? Certainly not. Certainly not. The examiner likes this area. They would like to test this in detail. So they will ask, is this adequate? No, it's not. Look at this industry. It's an amalgamation of 2 dynamic industries. What are these 2 dynamic industries? The automobile industry, which changes every day, and the software industry or computer industry, which changes every second. So based on that, we look at both. It's highly dynamic. 5 factors are clearly inadequate. Let's look at additional factors. Number 1, risk of contractual agreement. We need to have contractual agreements with suppliers, subcontractors, vehicle manufacturers. So we need to analyze the risk of these contracts, problems with contracts, legal issues or misrepresentation, misunderstanding. All these things is a major risk. Then, risk of inventory management. We do not manufacture anything. So thereby we don't have factories. So we buy from third party, assemble with another outsourced party, then distribute with another outsourced party, packaging separately. There's always a risk in warehousing, inventory management, and also in distribution. Distribution is also a key risk. What if there's a delay in distribution? What if there's a quality issue in distribution? What if there's a defective product due to distribution? It can be a small circuit. It can be a small circuit. We can affect the life of a person on the road. Affect the life of a person on the road. Then these are the risks. Then another risk, reputation. Major risk of reputation. Something goes wrong on the road and there's an accident and there's a threat on the life of a young child near a school. We are gone in business. We are dead and buried. So reputation is a major risk. Supply chain is a major risk. Subcontracting is a major risk. Relationship with governments is a major risk. All these factors has to be considered in analyzing the risk. So 5 are clearly inadequate. We need to look at market risk, customer risk. What about financial risk? You know our profit and turnover reduced from 2016 to 2017 by 7% the revenue and net profit by 19%. Is that risk? Yes, it's a major risk. So our summary up to now is, they have identified 5 areas. 2 areas we have to discuss further and improve. Other 3 are fine. Then we need to look at additional areas. Now we are going to look at risk management in detail based on the 5 factors they have identified. I'm discussing P3 syllabus area as well with this to provide a broader understanding of risk management. Risk management involves managing the identified risk based on a broader perspective. So let's see how these 5 risks identified by the company can be managed. So let's see. First risk is competition, investment in innovation, new technology, legal risk, and software risk. First risk here is competition. I have provided a detailed analysis in the supportive document in the analysis. You could refer it now, or you could refer it with the video itself now, or separately you can read it. You can refer the video separate and the document separate, or both together. So the detailed analysis will be in the document as well. Let's see. Competition risk. We analyze based on the risk matrix, or we call this risk mapping technique. Let's see. This is likelihood, Likelihood means possibility or probability. So we categorize any identified risk based on the likelihood and the impact. Likelihood and the impact. Likelihood says the possibility of occurrence. Possibility of occurrence. Impact says the significance on the company and the future. So there may be a risk which is of high probability, but if the impact is less, we can have it at a manageable level. Let's see. So I have analyzed this here. These are relevant numbers. In the exam, you will be asked to categorize like this, or they will give you an analysis like this. You will be asked to interpret. So I cover the entire paradigm of how the questions can be tested. So from the beginning I will explain this, so you could adjust according to any exam question, whether to interpret or to develop. Let's see. So for comparison risk, I have provided likelihood of 3, impact of 5, because impact is very high. Then a total score of 15. How do you get the total score is multiplying these two. I'll get back to that. Second risk, investment in innovation. I have identified likelihood as 2 and the impact as 4 and the total is 8. New technology. Likelihood is 4, impact is 5. Total is 20. Legal. I have identified a likelihood or probability of 3 and the impact of 5 because a small legal issue. Likelihood may be less, but if somebody dies on the road, impact is very high. Whatever it is, legal, impact is very high. Once it goes to court, your reputation goes for a 6. Remember that. Software issues 3 and the total is 9. Now this is score. This score demonstrates the risk ranking. Each risk has to be identified based on the nature of the organization, the Otto's risk management policy and Otto's risk management strategy based on your attitude and appetite. Attitude and appetite towards the risk. Your appetite and attitude can be risk-taking or risk-averse. We will look at both. Let's see. This score demonstrates a concept called gross risk. What do you mean by gross risk? Gross risk is the original form of risk. Original form of risk. That means as it is, prior to taking any decision. That means the risk of the company prior to taking decisions. We call it unmanaged risk as well. Okay? Prior to decisions. So that is called gross risk. So gross risk here is the score. 15 for comparison. Investment in innovation 8. New technology 20, the highest. Legal 15 and software risk 9. That is the gross risk. So let me relate with another example. Your situation as a CIMA strategic level student, when you get the case study on the 7th of July, that's your gross risk. That means your risk with the case study, what to do now. That is called gross risk. Then you can decide how to manage that risk. If you register with our program, then you have a clear risk management strategy. Then your situation after the program will be net risk. That means the managed risk. That means the gross risk which you have as a student, when you get the case, will be significantly reduced to a level where you pass the exam comfortably, and that's your net risk. So net risk arises after treatment of the risk. So what is net risk? The situation after the treatment of the risk. So what is gross risk? Original situation before risk treatment. Untreated risk. Your situation when you get the case study. Let's see now. Once you have the gross risk, the company should decide, what's the level I can operate? Remember, can we eliminate risk? Can we eliminate risk? Never. Don't type that in the exam. We cannot eliminate risk. We can only manage it. So we must operate in business with risk. Business is all about risk taking. Risk and opportunity are two sides of the same coin. Higher the risk, higher the opportunity. Lower the opportunity, lower the risk. So remember that. When we do business, if you want to invest in another country, higher opportunity and higher as the risk. So that is the guideline. Let's see. So then the company should decide what is your management level. What is the level of risk we can operate comfortably? You call it tolerance limit. I repeat, you call it tolerance limit. So this is called tolerance limit. That is the risk in which we are comfortable to take decisions. When you go to the exam, I will train you all to come to this level. Yes, still you have some issues, but you know your typing speed, you know your time management, you know the competency framework, you know how to include integration, and you have done enough mock exams to know your typing speed. Now you know your risk tolerance limit in the exam. Similarly here, I have given a number 12. I gave a number based on the analysis. Be prepared in the exam to interpret a given number. It should be relevant, or to develop a number based on the guideline. Now based on this tolerance limit of 12, how do you arrive at 12? That is a multiplication of likelihood with impact. Likelihood with impact. So now you can clearly see in my analysis, 3 risks are above the tolerance limit of 12. 3 risks are above the tolerance limit of 12. So we need to now manage the gross risk. You don't need to manage every risk. For example, if you have a problem with typing speed, we need to manage that before the exam. But if there's a student who is very good in typing, we don't need to manage that. Very simple. So like that, we are not going to manage every risk. We are only going to manage the risks which are above our tolerance limit. How do you decide the tolerance limit? How comfortable are you to do the business? Your comfort zone of doing business. Let's see now the diagram. Now this risk map based on impact and likelihood. Remember, some textbooks might give it the other way. There's no rule as such. You can have impact here and likelihood here. There's no problem. The only importance is interpretation. Usually we have scale of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Low and high. You can always have low, medium, high and enhance the scale. But in your exam, usually this is the guideline. So here also I have analyzed based on scale of 1 to 5. So let's see now. The green colored line demonstrate what? Very good. Risk tolerance. 3 into 4 is 12. You can have it either way. You can have 3 into 4 like that as a dual system. That's fine. But I've taken only one for simple explanation purpose. So now you can see the net risk here. Gross risk is the original form. Let's see. First one, competition. Likelihood 3, impact 5. Likelihood 3, impact 5. So it's here. So it's clearly beyond your tolerance limit. So this gross risk is beyond your tolerance limit. Do we need to take action? Yes, we need to. Number 2, investment in innovation. Likelihood 2, impact 4. Likelihood 2, impact 4. So it's here. It's within our tolerance limit. So do we need to take decisions? No. Because we have managed it within our system. It's like the student who's very good in typing speed. No problem. New technology. 4, likelihood, impact 5. Likelihood is 4, impact is 5. My goodness, it is here. Clearly gross risk is above our tolerance limit. The total is 20. This is the highest risk. Do we need to manage this? Of course, we need to manage that. Legal risk. Likelihood is 3, Impact is 515. So where is that? Number 4. It's here. Do we need to manage this? Yes, because it is beyond our comfort zone of tolerance limit. Final one, software risk. Impact is 3, likelihood 3. So that is number 5 is here. Do we need to manage that? No, because it's within our tolerance limit. So now you need to develop strategy to manage the gross risk of these 3. Gross risk of these 3 and converted it within our tolerance limit and get into our net risk situation. What is net risk? The risk after treatment and the risk within our tolerance limit. Now, how do we manage this risk? You need to develop strategy to push the gross risk to net risk. What are the strategies? You know from P3, avoidance is one strategy. Well, avoidance doesn't mean ignore it. Avoid the factors. So if it is competition risk, have competitor intelligence, more information about competition, be aggressive in the market, things like that for avoidance. Then you can develop another strategy to reduce the risk. How do you reduce the risk? Well, if you have new innovation risk, how do you reduce it? Introduce more concepts, because we only have 2 new products in the pipeline. What are those 2? Driverless car and autonomous vehicle. Have more ideas. Maybe you can have fully integrated computer system in the car. Maybe an automated office in the car. Automated living room in the car. You can create this experience. That is the new innovation. So if you have more innovations, your risk will be less. That is called reduction. Then another factor is transferring risk. Which factor can be used to transfer risk? Very good. Software, we can transfer it by developing a relationship. We can ask them to have quality assurance. We can connect with the university on technology to review our software and give us a certification. And even the legal risks, we can transfer or share it. We can get a legal consultant. Of course, the case study has plenty of legal aspects. We have a non-executive director, Deirdre, with a legal background. We have legal directors. But still, we can transfer it by getting a specialist to provide us support. Then, the final strategy is accept the risk. What do you mean by accept? Be positive. Be positive. When you do business, you face challenges every single day, and it's a dynamic industry. So if you look at competition, face it. It is a survival of the fittest. You must, don't be happy if the competitor is weak. What will happen if the competition is weak? The whole industry standard comes down. It's all about competition, like diamond theory, rivalry. More rivalry, better you become. More competition, better you become. If the competitor develops new product, we develop new product. That is the business acumen, and that is the business strategy, and that is the system and the culture we need to inculcate in our company. So that's called accepting the risk. Very simple. So why do we have this risk management strategy? To make sure that your gross risk is converted within the tolerance limit and come to net risk. Now I have provided a detailed explanation of the risk management system for auto. Let me summarize this. The company identified 5 risk factors. What are those 5? Competition, investment in innovation, new technology, legal liability, and software issues. We looked at them. We need to improve 2 of them, that is competition and new technology. And then we looked at additional risk factors like reputation, like contracts, in which the company needs to improve the horizon and the scope in identifying new areas. Then we develop a risk management system based on the risk map and the process, where we distinguish between gross risk and the tolerance limit and the net risk. I have covered the entire area of risk management that can be tested in the exam. Thank you for listening. Good luck.